Oh, so the first time I saw A Quiet Place, my wife and I, we went to the theater, and it was the Dolby Cinema Experience or something. You guys ever heard of this? It's like,
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
yeah.
Oh yeah.
right. So supposed to be a brighter screen. I don't know. There's like 30 speakers, like the whole ceiling is speakers, and the chairs have multiple rumblers in them, so that you can feel different patterns of rumble. And we're sitting here watching this movie, and they have the rumbles going and the absolute quiet going. It was terrifying. It was awesome. It was a great way to experience this movie. But this time I watched it, I was down in my basement on a Sunday morning. Everybody else in the house was asleep, so I had it on the TV and my headphones plugged into the stereo, and I turned off all the lights, so it was pitch dark. And I was thinking, somebody's going to come down at some point, and that happened. My wife came down, so that didn't get me. That didn't get me. And at some point, I went up and I made toast, and I was very conscious of every noise the knife made when it hit the counter, the jam scraping across the bread. I don't know how those guys made it through the movie, but I came down. I was watching, and my wife came down for the last 15 minutes, and she said my eyes were just the widest she had ever seen them. And I'm like, yes, of course, it's A Quiet Place, and I immediately watched An American in Paris just to cleanse it.
Wouldn't toast be a bad choice if you're trying to say as quiet as possible?
Well,
First
that
choice ever.
that is true, and that's probably why they don't eat it in the movie,
No.
right?
Yeah, it's well, I was eating fish when I watched this for the first time, so which is I think a better meal to stay away from sound-based aliens, but you know.
What kind of fish?
I have a mix. Well, usually salmon. But I have some cod. I eat a lot of tilapia, whiting. Things like that.
Just for when you watch A Quiet Place?
That's a whole spread. And audience,
No,
if you remember,
that's not all.
Tom is anti-popcorn. He's only bread. So all this fish is on top of non-toasted, because that would be too loud, bread.
Oh no, I can't have bread anymore. No, just fish. Just lots of different fish. I had swai fillet and pink salmon that day. I had almost 4 ounces of swai and about 8.5 ounces of salmon.
What is swai? Is that like an Oscar Mayer fish or something?
Isn't that like a catfish? It's like a catfish replacement in some restaurants.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Not a fan of catfish, actually.
The first time I watched A Quiet Place was in the movie theaters. I was very excited about the film, and pretty much like you, when I left the theaters, I would just kind of whisper to my wife, like, "How'd you like the movie?" And just always very quiet for a long time. And they had that same effect the second time I watched it and the third time I watched it. It's just it's a testament to the movie, how it really impacts you, how you behave after you finish watching the movie. It's great.
Unfortunately, I don't think I ever had the true movie theater experience, and I do think that would be an amazing way to view this. And in fact, I thought it was quite interesting. One of the reasons we're going into this movie is the sequel is coming out shortly. And what's interesting is, even though we're at the cusp or in the middle of COVID times, they are only releasing A Quiet Place 2 in the theater. So I have a dilemma. Will I be breaking my year-plus long hiatus from the theaters to go see A Quiet Place 2 in a theater with, of course, hopefully a reduced audience? My wife and I are fully vaccinated, so I don't know, but it's a legitimate question I have. Is that going to be my return to a theater? There is a chance we can go on a weekday. She has some time coming off, low attendance, hopefully, but we'll see.
Yeah.
That's my dilemma.
Yeah. I think when you pick a seat, it kind of like blocks out seats around you. So if you kind of don't pick your seats next to each other, but space them out like between one seat, it kind of spaced out, which is more. And then
So we'll be the only ones in the theater.
This is the COVID hack from Ragnar. Buy your tickets separately.
It sounds like drone bombing.
You sunk my quiet place.
I actually was just going to spend a ridiculous amount of money buying seats.
You can rent the theater.
AMC. That's true. You totally can.
Yeah,
I've been looking into that.
We did that over Christmas break. We went to the theater.
Mm.
6 of us went. My wife, myself, my 2 daughters, and my folks, and we watched National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. It was great.
Yeah, so I didn't see this movie in the theater. I saw it last week in my kitchen while making and consuming fish of various types.
Yeah.
What?
I didn't see The Godfather in the theater. I had a Game Gear with one of those antenna, and I was able to watch.
I didn't like it as much as everybody else.
No, I don't know what they're talking about. My Game Boy Advance played it fine, but 12 frames per second. But it was, and the smell of fish. Ugh, it was exhausting.
Real fishy movie.
It was, it was pretty tasty. Felt healthy. Good. Healthy.
A lot of protein.
Yeah, a lot of protein. Good. Yeah, so then I moved from my kitchen to my living room and finished the movie and the fish.
I don't think you watched it in an optimal, even home experience, let alone movie experience.
Yeah,
theater experience.
I haven't plugged in my TV in like 7 months. So,
how have you been watching these movies?
On the computer, which is not a great way to do it, but also the TV's pretty old, and I don't think I have a stand, so it's gonna be
flat on the floor. You gotta stand above it, looking down.
Yeah, more or less.
Trying to fillet these fish.
Yeah, sit Indian style on the floor, and
Oh, I just assumed Tom was taking chunks out of the side of the fish here. I don't know.
Eating it like Gollum, just like
yeah,
like he just slapped it out of a river.